I think this is going through microphone. All right, good morning. Today is Thursday, November 2nd. As usual, we'll be doing analysis for US 30, gold, and EU. So starting off with the daily bias, our daily bias for US 30 is bearish. However, you can see we just formed a daily SAR. So what this means is that in the next day or two, probably tomorrow, my bias for US 30 will start shifting to a bullish bias. Also, I don't want to miss this gold. So this is the gold trade I've been waiting for. I need 2 consecutive 1-minute candles to close above this zone, and I'll be buying gold, 0.75% risk, 30 pips stop loss, 60 pips TP. So let's see. We have another minute for that. So US 30, but we might be switching the bias for US 30 soon. Gold, still bullish. EU, still bullish. EU, they tried to close below this daily sell SAR, but they weren't able to. And yesterday, based off of this buying pressure right here, all these weak rejections, you can see they push price right back above the daily SAR. The US dollar, still bullish on the US dollar. Okay, so you can see we had that rejection back to the downside. So as of now, nothing yet. So this is just a patience game. So this setup is based off of, if you go to the hourly time frame here, you can see, so I'll delete the previous break and continuation because this is why I don't enter trades pre-NY. So the break and continuation entry was this one. Break continuation would have been somewhere there, but this happened before New York open, and this person would have gotten stopped out. So the trade wouldn't have even achieved a 1:1 risk to reward. So they would have started off in like 26 pips profit, and then trade came back and hit stop loss. So that's why, and I said I don't like trading before New York. But then here you can see there's a test and rejection entry. So that's the entry we're waiting for on the 1-minute time frame. So it's the entry we're waiting on the 1-minute time frame. Also, if you go on gold on the 15-minute time frame, there's also that same setup that was there on the hourly, a test and rejection entry on the 15-minute. So that's the reason currently we are on the 1-minute time frame. Yesterday we had a nice win during FOMC. As much as I told you guys to use a 0.25% risk, we were able to make 0.5% for the day yesterday. So this is just a matter of patience. US 30, if US 30 wants to keep pumping, so you can see here, we were setting up for a break and continuation. So the break candle, so this is still not yet over, right? So here, this markup in this zone, break and continuation sell. So it's a possible break and continuation sell. You can see this is the break candle. This is the continuation candle. So if the continuation candle closes above this zone, then of course the trade setup would be invalidated. But if US 30 wants to keep pumping up, that is fine because look at where it's headed. It's headed to another sell zone right there. But personally, I am still looking for sells until a daily candle closes here. The same idea that happened with EU here. In EU, if you traded or if you tried to catch sells before, these daily candles, yes, they did break below this SAR, but none of them closed below here. So if you did catch some sells, maybe you would have made a little bit of profit, but there's a good amount of probability that at some point you could have gotten burnt. So as much as we have this daily buy SAR that has formed, I will still keep looking for sells until we get a daily candle closing above this zone. So if US 30 wants to keep pumping, that's fine as well, because keep in mind, we still have sell zones up here that I'd marked up. So you can see this is actually a triple sell SAR area on the 30-minute time frame. Actually, never mind. I broke them down into doubles. So it's a double here, double there. On the 15-minute time frame, on the 15-minute time frame, we don't have anything above. Wait. On the 15-minute time frame, we don't. This is 33,592, 33,582. So never on the 15-minute time frame. We have this double SAR definitely here. Settings, change this to bearish. Bearish. Also, this is also a 15-minute. I'm also looking at gold. Gold, there's no entry just yet. Just be patient on gold. So we have a 15-minute zone there. We also have another 15 zone all the way up here. So no need to rush anything. Just be patient and wait for price to come to you. So I'll go ahead and reset this. All right, so up here, we know we have 15-minute zones, and then we have a 30-minute zone as well. But keep in mind, what I would like in the next 19 minutes is for this candle to come back and close all the way down here. And then at that point, I would be looking to take the sell for US 30 here. So in 20 minutes, we'll know whether the trade gets validated or not. Let's see. So if you guys remember this daily bullish high, you remember when we were analyzing the FOMC yesterday? So I did say we had a daily bullish high there, and if price tapped that daily bullish high, price would spike up to the upside, which is exactly what happened today. We also have a daily bearish low up there, so it's possible that US 30 can go to 33,622 and then reverse from there. But keep in mind, if we keep pumping like that during the day, the bias like from tomorrow going forward will change to bullish. But keep in mind, today we can still catch some sells, but we just have to be patient because right now they're using the daily bullish high, which is one of those order blocks that rarely come up. Let's see what's happening on gold. So gold, you can see it formed that live 1 minute SAR that we are waiting for, but nothing has closed above it yet. So we just need to be patient. EU, I don't see myself trading EU for a while. You can see EU has been breaking everything on the move up, right? So like yesterday, this is the place I had bought EU before New York session, which is why I'm telling you guys I don't like trading before New York session. I had bought EU somewhere here, got faked out, and then price has been pumping since then. So we just need to be a little bit more patient. Today's one Thursday. Okay. If anyone has any questions, now is the time to ask. But right now there is really nothing to go over. Let's see we know US 30. So you can see that pressure back to the downside. So we have 16 minutes before this trade either validates or not. So let's see where gold is again on this 15-minute, because it can also give us another setup as it's coming back down. So let me extend my SARs again, since this is the 15-minute time frame. Okay. Extend this. I go to the 15 minutes. So let's see what gold is doing. So you can see there's another possible entry down here, right? So this is a double SAR zone. This is 1985.5, 1984. Okay, so there's two 15-minute SAR. So you can see this top SAR and this bottom SAR are one zone, but then inside that one zone, there's this little concentrated zone right here. So gold might be giving in the next actually it's invalidated because this candle closes in the next 40 seconds. But if this candle closes either above this double SAR that's down here, I would be buying gold as well. I would be entering a buy on gold. We have 30 seconds. Or if it closes above this top SAR. So keep in mind this zone. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 SARs. So those are two separate buy SAR zones right there. So let's see where this candle closes in the next 19. So at the very least, if it closes where it is right there, I would be buying gold based off of, well, let me mark it up. So there's this test and rejection buy. So there's two of them, and then there's a wider one. So let me see. I'm in the gold buy, 0.75% risk, 30 pips stop loss, 60 pips, 60 pips TP. So that's the trade I'm in. Right there. Okay. So this is based off of test and rejection of this double buy SAR zone. And I know we also have another double SAR zone right there, but I'm in that trade with 0.75% risk, and we'll see how that's going. So even for me right now, I'm in drawdown like $700, but I'll just keep holding it. On the 30-minute time frame, so on the 30-minute time frame as well, there's also, I'll go ahead and delete all of this. So the trade we are currently in is based off of this 15-minute test and rejection. So this small zone right here. So that's the trade we are currently in. Oh, I'm currently in, and it's going to count as an official trade, whether it hits TP or stop loss. So that's a trade I'm currently in. You can see also on the 15-minute time frame, we're also testing another double buy SAR zone. But I'm not, even though this trade, even though this trade validates, I would not be layering in. I'll just hold this trade that I'm in and then see how it goes. US 30, so this is what I was talking about, US 30. So US 30 as well, if US 30 closes, so this is exactly what I wanted, right? I want to see this selling pressure right here. So if US 30 closes below this double sell SAR on the 30-minute time frame, I will also be taking a sell on US 30. So if we do take a loss on this gold trade, so this gold trade entered with 0.75% risk. So if we do take a loss on that and we get the trade set up for US 30, personally, I'll still be risking 0.75. But for you guys, if we do take a loss on the gold trade that I'm in right now, this trade will enter with a 0.375% risk. So keep in mind for US 30, we have 12 minutes before this trade either validates or invalidates. So the only trade I'm in right now is this gold sell. There was on the 30-minute as well, there was something validating, but it's all the way down here. We would have to get stopped out before.
You mean gold buy, right?
Yeah, gold buy. I'm sorry. Yeah, gold buy. I'm not in the US, so I'm looking to sell US 30. I'm in a gold buy, currently in drawdown. So yeah, EU, I'm not trading EU. It already, took off where I was looking to get in. Using the momentum strategy, this morning I looked at the momentum strategy. I didn't see any particular entries for the momentum strategy. There was the sell yesterday morning, but right now, based off of where the momentum strategy is, the only next critical buying area or the next critical valid momentum signal for US 30 is this daily time frame. So you can see this daily time frame. This momentum buy is valid. It's not the lowest candle of the retracement or trend. Previous 1 to 3 candles have had rejected off of an SAR level. On the daily time frame, we don't care whether price is above or below the moving average. So this right here, 33,621 is a critical buying area for US 30. So I will put in an alert there for US 30. I just got stopped out on gold. So this is minus 0.75%. So if you traded with me yesterday, it's not a big deal because yesterday we had a win of 0.5%. So just losing minus 0.5%, which is why I tell you guys, like, if you just wait to take the trades I take, you might not have a win rate similar to me, because sometimes you can come and take a trade with me and it ends up in a loss. And this is why also I normally encourage you guys, if I tell you to hold for a 1:2 and I tell you to set break even, do not take any profit, because for some people take profits before even getting to a 1:1 risk to reward. And then when you take a loss with me, you're holding the losses longer. So if you're following any of my strategies, make sure you're taking break even when I'm taking break even. Make sure you're taking a loss when I'm taking a loss. Make sure you're taking profit when I'm taking profit. If you try to interfere with that risk to reward, your win rate might not be as good. So you can see, for example, in the month of October, we started the first week in losses, break even, second week losses, break even. But in the third and fourth week and fifth week, when our trades start hitting like 1:2s, we ended up being up for the month like 4.5%. So just keep that in mind while taking those trades. So anyway, so at this point, that trade already hit. I'll leave it here so that I can do the weekly recap. So you can see here, this is also another possible test and rejection on the 15-minute time frame. So I am still bullish on gold. So this is a possible test and rejection also. But right now, since we took that 0.75% loss, for you guys, for the next trade, I don't recommend using a 0.5% risk, because I don't like you guys risking anything more than 1.5% for the day. So here, this is a test and rejection buy, a possible test and rejection buy. This is a double SAR zone on the 15-minute time frame. So that's the trade that hit the L. So this is the next possible entry on gold. But right now, I prefer moving to US 30, but that's another possible setup on gold. All right, so US 30, 8 minutes. So this is exactly what I want US 30 to do. I want them to play around this zone so that in the last few moments before this candle closes, they close right below here. So that's what US 30 is currently doing right now. That's exactly what I want it to do. And keep in mind, this is a 30-minute setup. So I like, so the higher the time frame that's giving you a trade validation, the better, because high time frames price normally sticks better or moves better. So US 30, so the only trade we can get probably today for US 30 is on the 30-minute time frame. For gold, all right. Okay, so if this candle in the next 7 minutes, now is again when you need to start thinking about if you're going to take this trade, right? If this candle closes above this zone, so you can see this trade, we just got faked out, stopped out. But here, this is an example of what I was talking about a few days ago. If this current 15-minute candle closes above this double SAR that we entered the previous trade at, it will have validated two zones. It will have validated this double SAR right here and that double SAR right there. So you can either enter the trade up there or down here, but always ask yourself, if a trade setup validates two zones, which zone would give you the most optimal entry? So in this case, if you're looking for buys and a setup has validated across two SAR zones, you would want to catch the lowest buy zone, so not really the highest. So let's say this current 15-minute candle closes above here, it would still be a valid trade for that zone. But again, keep in mind, it also validated a zone here, which may mean they might come back and retrace and tap in. There's also that 1 minute entry that we were looking for. So before this 15-minute trade validated, you guys remember that pre-New York, there was test and rejection on the hourly time frame and test and rejection on the 15-minute time frames. And before this 15-minute trade setup, though, we were waiting for a 1 minute trade to set up also. So I'll drop down to the 1 minute time frame for now. So this candle closes in the next 5 minutes or so. So that's like at 10 a.m. So I'll drop back down to the 1 minute time frame and see if that 1 minute setup ever got validated. So this was the 15-minute trade that went. So the 1 minute time frame, so the 1 minute setup hasn't come yet, right? So we've been printing buy SARs on the 1 minute time frame, but nothing has closed above. So keep in mind there's still a valid, if we go on the hourly time frame, this is a test and rejection, right? Test, rejection. So of course you wouldn't have entered the trade up here because of course the trade was overextended or the entry was overextended, and of course you could have gotten stopped out. So this is the reason why we are also on the, or why I'd talked about being on the 1 minute time frame. Also, if you go on the 15-minute time frame, this setup was also there on the 15-minute time frame. So for gold, there's still a possible entry on the 1 minute time frame as well. That's based off of a 15-minute and hourly setup. So there's either that or, so for gold, we know there's if we get a 1 minute entry, that's a valid entry for the 1 hour setup or 15-minute setup. We also know in the next 5 minutes, we need to look at where the 15-minute candle will close because it might also give an entry. Also for US 30 at 10 a.m., we also need to watch what price will do around then. And also keep in mind tomorrow's NFP, so do expect a good amount of manipulation before then. All right. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. But right now, everything or all the possible setups are going to line up at 10 a.m. Right. I forgot to put this. So this is a critical buy area for US 30. Daily. Set an alert for there. On the sell side, there's really no valid sell momentum on the daily time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, no valid sell momentum just yet. No valid sell momentum, even looking to the left. Looking to the left, also no valid momentum based off of where price is on the 4-hour, or no valid buy momentum. On the hourly time frame, on the hourly time frame, this is still loading. On the hourly time frame, looking to the left, based off of where price is, there's no valid sell momentum. On the hourly time frame, no valid buy momentum. I'm looking to there. Yeah, there was nothing. When I looked this morning, there was nothing, no setups for the momentum indicator. We have 2 more minutes before 10 a.m. comes in. So, all right, for gold, remember 1963.2, that's a critical. So this is the setup. If you guys remember during the FOMC live stream yesterday, we were looking for sells on gold at 1983, and we barely got tapped in to 1983 before price dropped. And we also had a critical buy area at 1963. So since that didn't happen during FOMC yesterday, and which was because of this daily SARs right here, during NFP tomorrow, we might tap that zone and then push all the way back up. So that's possibly what's going to happen. during FOMC tomorrow. So 9:59, so we have 1 more minute. So during FOMC tomorrow, that's probably what's going to happen. But keep in mind, 1963.2, that's a critical buying area for gold. On the daily time frame, this is actually a valid sell right here. So this is also, we are in a critical sell area for gold also. The high of this candle, the previous momentum. So this sell up here is invalid because there was no rejection of an SAR. This sell right here on the daily is valid because the previous 1 to 3 candles had rejected, either of them had rejected off of an SAR level. This signal candle wasn't the highest candle of a retracement or a trend. So at this point, I go ahead and mark up 19 daily sell momentum. Daily sell momentum stepped in. So that is at 1982.7. So we're actually in a sell area for gold. And if you look on the daily, we are possibly forming a head and shoulder pattern. So it's already 10 a.m. So let's look at what setup has formed. So we are probably forming a head and shoulder on gold, which is fine because for me, I'm done taking, on my automated accounts, I'm done taking buys on gold. I'm waiting for the sell trend. But 1983. So if you guys remember, that's the same level yesterday I was talking about. That's a nice selling area, 1983. So that might be a nice selling area. So this setup for US 30 invalidated. The continuation candle closed above. So we forget about US 30 for now. The next area for US 30, you can see we still have some selling areas, but keep in mind this sales might be short-lived because tomorrow we might start looking for buys on US 30. Also, if you guys remember, I've told you guys, if your bias is a sell and a daily buy SAR formed, you have one chance to go ahead and do an impulse sell at that area. So you can see at 33,560, if you had sold US 30, again, I try not to teach impulse entries because there are times when and gold has crossed that sell area. There are times when US 30, like for example, wouldn't reject off of that daily SAR zone. So I don't recommend impulse entries, but normally, for example, like when that daily was printed, you had one chance to go ahead and sell at that area, which is what, like for me, I did yesterday on US 30 on the daily when US 30 tapped my daily sell momentum area. It's very risky, but that's one way to do it. So let's look at the 15-minute time frame and see if any of those trades validated. So if I go back to the 15-minute time frame and then I extend my SARs, I don't think the top zone was validated. So here, this is a test rejection of this bottom area. Now again, that would be the trade right there. But the distance between the entry and the SAR zone is about 0.5 pips. So with this same setup, I will go back to I'll go back to the 1 minute time frame. I like seeing this wicks to the bottom. So I like seeing all these wicks to the bottom. So what I'll go back to the 1 minute time frame and then wait for that entry. And of course, I don't extend my SARs on the 1 minute because it just makes the chart messy. So I'll go to the 1 minute time frame and wait for a 1 minute live SAR. So since we didn't get the entry for US 30, if we do get the gold entry, I will be taking gold again. For you guys, I'll say use 0.375% risk. If you don't want to use that, that's up to you. But that's, the percentage is just what I use to mark up the official returns. And I also keep in mind, we have already tapped into that sell volume. But it doesn't mean that gold is automatically going to sell like back to back to back. And if they're going to tap that buy area at 1963 tomorrow, that that area where buyers stepped in, where we saw on the daily momentum, if they are supposed to do that during NFP tomorrow, today I would actually expect gold to spike up, and then during NFP they would drop it. So if gold is supposed to drop tomorrow, right now they would spike gold up to trap both buyers and sellers. If gold is supposed to go up tomorrow, then we'll probably see a downtrend in gold. But given that 19, if you guys remember yesterday on the FOMC stream, I said that was my A plus setup, that buy on gold at 1963. So the probability of gold going up right now, I think, is higher than for it to go down. But of course, I can be wrong, but that's just my what I would expect them to do. So US 30, again, we still have sell zones on US 30 up here. And also keep in mind, we have that daily, what is it, 33,620. We have a daily bearish low. Now, this daily bearish low lines up with a daily buy momentum. The daily buy momentum we just marked up. So here, to help us, you'd want to turn on the zones indicator. So the zones indicator shows that we have sellers that are sitting here, so which is good. So I think they might pump up US 30 to this zone 620. So 620 is going to be a critical zone, because you can see we had a daily momentum where buyers previously stepped in, but we also have a daily bearish low. But given that that's a daily bearish low, it means that there's a daily bearish high somewhere above here, all the way at 34,000. So this daily bearish low might be manipulated and faked out. So there goes the 1 minute live SAR on gold. We need 2 1-minute candles. So gold is the only possible setup for today. So keep in mind where we are at on gold. That's the previous area where sellers stepped in. Other than this top sell area, that's one of the previous, that's the previous valid sell momentum where sellers stepped in. And you can see this wicks to the top. So we're in a critical area for sellers to step in, but I don't think they'll use this just yet until tomorrow. Also, you can see on the daily time frame, we are forming a valid buy momentum. This is not the lowest candle of a trend. The previous one, either of the previous 1 to 3 candles had rejected off of an SAR. On the daily time frame, we don't care whether price is above or below the moving average. So on the daily, you can see we still have buyers that are stepping in right here. So on the 4-hour time frame, nothing on the 4-hour time frame. On the 1-hour time frame, nothing also on the 1-hour time frame. So when you go any time frame below the daily time frame, that's when you care whether price is above or below the moving average. So for right now, this is the only trade that I will be looking. This is my last trade, possibly during the live session. But more than likely, I'll be taking a US 30 trade later on in the day when US 30 gets to either this zones or comes back and does like a break and continuation of this particular zone right here. So on the 15-minute time frame, there's nothing really. Yeah, on the 15-minute time frame, unless we get back up there. Actually, you know what? Never mind. This is 526, 523. So actually, we do have a 15-minute zone for US 30 right there. I don't like going too far to the left. So none of these zones at the top here on the 15-minute time frame have been tested, but we do have a 15-minute zone right here. right. Yeah. So this might also be a possible entry. So I'll stay on for like 10 or 15 more minutes to see if we do get this. Also, if you can look at your MT4, gold started off with a gap yesterday after market open. So that's possibly where gold is going to close that gap before coming back up. So we do have a gap on gold if you look at MT4, where the gap might be closed. So similar to what the dollar did yesterday, the dollar had this gap right here. So I would want gold to keep pushing down. So we want, if we're looking for buys, we want that sell momentum to be exhausted. So all these sellers, we want them to be exhausted and exhausted. So I don't mind gold dropping, even though it wants to go to 1974, that's fine. Because keep in mind, the entry we are looking for is based off of an hourly time frame, is based off of this. So it's based off of this. The person who entered at the top here wouldn't have been given that 1:1 risk to reward, and they would have gotten stopped out. As much as even for us, while still following the rules on the 15-minute time frame, we got stopped out. But this entry right here at the top is valid or validated, but of course we wouldn't have entered. So the trade we are actually looking to enter right now is based off of the 1 hour setup and also a 15-minute setup. So I would like gold to keep pumping down before giving us that SAR. And then what's going to happen, all these SARs that are being created and they're not validated, when gold comes back up and gives us an entry on that 1 minute SAR and gold gets to this SARs right here and closes above them, it will just be taking out liquidity. And that's going to give us like a nice pump to the upside. So for you guys, if you did take the loss with me, for this one, if you win this trade, you should be well back to break even, because if we're taking it with a 0.375 risk and we win it, you should just be back to break even for the day. If we still, fingers crossed, lose the trade, that if it validates and we lose it, you're only down like 1.125% for the day. If you took the win yesterday with me on gold, I'm sorry, what was it? US 30, you'd be up 0.5%. So just between yesterday and today, you'll just be down like 0.6%. Also, if you've been taking the live trades or official trades I've been sending out for the past few weeks, you should be up pretty nicely still. So just gotta be patient. So this 15-minute zone, this can be a possible break and continuation. So keep in mind, this is a 15-minute double SAR zone. If you extend your chart to the left, you'll see those SARs right there to your left. And this would be that break and continuation sell. But we need 2 consecutive 15-minute candles to close below there. So I like how we are having those wicks from the upside. But we need to wait for another 15-minute candle to give us more confirmation. Unfortunately, we don't even have any momentum entries. Like all these sell momentums you're seeing here, they're all invalid, because the previous candles, either they were the highest candles of a move, or there was no rejection off of any SARs. So all of these sell momentums you guys are seeing here on the chart, all of them are invalid, right? There was no SAR rejection around that zone. All right, let's see what's happening on gold. We need that live 1 minute SAR. Mm, mm. Mm, mm. Also, I've shifted to using, what is it? I've shifted to using Oanda even for my FX pairs. The reason for that is FXM, because I was just using for FX pairs, I was using the first, whatever the first broker that loaded, which was FXCM. But I noticed with the momentum indicator, if you use FXCM, some of the valid signals are being taken out because remember, every broker has its own price points. So yeah, but I've found that Oanda works. So overall, I'm using Oanda for FX pairs, for US, for indices, for commodities. So overall, I'm using Oanda for all of my charts. All right, now the break candle has already validated. So if we zoom in here, you can see this candle opened above. So this is the break candle. This is the continuation candle, but we need this continuation candle to close below this zone. So that's in the next 13 minutes. If it closes above, again, unfortunately, that trade setup is invalidated. We would have to wait for another setup. But in the next 13 minutes, we need that candle to close below for any particular trades. And for gold, of course, we are waiting for a 1 minute validation. So also, based off of where gold is on the hourly time frame, you can see we might be forming a test and rejection. So we do have, so this already validated at the top. We might be having another validation at the bottom. So on days like this, you can easily get faked out or wicked out, especially if you try to revenge trade. So you just have to be a little bit more patient. All these setups, you'll just see them validating even later in the day. So we might be getting this test and rejection entry on the hourly time frame, but this hourly candle has to close in the next 42 minutes, has to close above here. So it's just a matter of patience. So we do also have that possible setup in another 47 minutes. So there's this setup that we are waiting for up there on the 1 minute time frame. There's this US 30 setup that we are waiting for on the 15-minute time frame, which would either invalidate or validate in the next 12 minutes. Okay, there's that gold setup. So for gold in 7 seconds, if this closes above here, I would say use a 0.375 risk, but you need this candle to close above here. If it doesn't, which it doesn't look like it will, that setup is invalid. Okay, so that setup is invalid. So you had the break candle, the continuation candle closed below the SAR. So that setup is invalid, but we still have, so this SAR is still valid because it hasn't been exhausted, right? So it's only valid for 5 candles. So we can still get another break and continuation if the next consecutive 2 1 minute candles close above that zone. And if you look at your MT4s, when I was talking about gold was probably running down to close the gap, if you look at your MT4s, gold at the low of this candle just closed the gap. Just closed the gap on your the gap it opened up with yesterday after the daily candle. So just be patient. If again gold wants to start melting down again, that's fine. We just need a valid 2 consecutive candles to close above that zone. So let's go back to the 15-minute and 30-minute time frames. Let's see where this candle closes, because I know we are waiting on 2 candle closures here. So if this candle closes below, so if this current candle closes below this buy SAR, that will be it for this zone. Because remember, this is, if this candle were to close above, then the other candle closes above, then that would be a valid entry. But if you think about it, since this SAR is only valid for 5 candles, if this candle closes below, even though the next candle closed above, the next candle wouldn't have space to close within that threshold, unless you decide to extend your SAR to like 6 candles or 8 candles. But for me, the default is 5 candles. So this is the last. If this candle closes below, that is it for that live SAR. But if this candle closes above that SAR, we still have hope to wait for the next candle. But if this candle closes below that SAR, there's really no use of waiting for that SAR. We need a new one to be created. Okay, so that candle closed above, so that is perfect. Now we need this one to close above that SAR zone for a buy. If this one closes below, again, setup invalidated. We have to wait for a brand new SAR, because remember, you always want to trade that live SAR. You don't want to visually extend it and say, okay, even though 2 candles have closed after the SAR has been formed, I'm going to use them. You can still make profit that way, but personally, I've been burnt using that. So nowadays, I just choose to stick to the candles that fall within that SAR
threshold. If it does close above and it closes close to that side, like what kind of stop loss is that? 30?
Yeah, like I always do 30, so I don't change my stop loss whatsoever.
And 30 would bring it to the lower low.
So that's it. At that point, well, it would, but again, that trade is invalid, or the setup is invalid.
It's invalid, that's it.
Yeah. So at this point, again, would still need to wait for a new one. So at this point, I can be comfortable to go to the 15-minute time frame and see what we have going on in the 15-minute zones. So the other 15-minute zones. Okay, so we also have this here. Is it a 15-minute? I would have to extend this a little bit. Okay, so I think these are 30-minute zones right here. Okay, so 30-minute time frame. So let me think this through. The one we are waiting on. So this moved from, okay, so this was invalidated. So this is a 30-minute time frame. This 30-minute candle closes in 6 minutes. So in 6 minutes, we have a possible test and rejection entry on the 30-minute time frame. Okay, this others below here, I wanted to see whether they're 15-minute or 30-minute. So for this trade, that's in the next 6 minutes. So at 10:30, we know we have a possible 30-minute setup. So this is a 30-minute setup. So the one below here must be a 15. Yeah, the one below here is a 15-minute. This one is a 15-minute as well. The one below it is a 15-minute as well. Okay, so this would be also, if you look at these 2 zones, this is a double buy SAR on the 15-minute time frame. This also is a double buy SAR on the 15-minute time frame. So in the next 5 minutes, this 2 zones might be validated for tests and rejections. So in the next 5 minutes, we can either have a 30-minute setup or 15-minute setup. But for the 15-minute setup, it would validate 2 15-minute zones. It would validate this zone right here and this one right here. This zone up here is a 30-minute zone, which would also be validated. But if you're taking the trade based of a 15-minute zone, you would want to wait for gold to come back to the most optimal zone, which is this one right here, down here. And also, we still have like a 1 minute possible 1 minute entry. So we know that at 10:30, which is 6 minutes from now, we have a possible setup on the 30-minute time frame and the 15-minute time frames. So just be patient. So this is what I was talking, right? So as much as these two candles appear to close above this zone, remember on the 1 minute time frame, you're trading a live SAR. So unless your default settings, you set your default settings to like 8 candle closures, at the very least, you're the only person who would be looking to buy gold, or maybe for you, I guess it would have to be 10 candle closures to accommodate that, right? Because if you're trading 10 candle closures, then yes, that would validate that. But if your default SAR settings are 5 candles like me, do not force that trade just for the sake of wanting to be in the trade. But if for you in the past, your default candle extension is 10 candles, then you're the only person who should be in this gold buy right now. But if you're trading a 5 minute, a 5 candle extension like me, you would still be waiting for a new SAR to be created. All right, so we need in 3 minutes, we either have validations on 15-minute timeframes or 30 minute time frame. Man, I'm tired. All these setups, you have a setup that's almost validated and then it keeps, but anyway, I think that's the best thing about having rules. Because nowadays I don't get any FOMO. Like, even though price wants to keep pumping, I know at some point my setup will still, price can reverse and come back and tap me in. So just make sure you have your own rules of trading, whatever works for you, because whatever works for me might be different from whatever works for somebody else. But just make sure it's working for you, that you have a good win rate with it. EU, I think EU right now on the this was a nice break and continuation for EU, would have been in profit. So EU is coming back to test this double by zone on the hourly time frame. There's also a double SAR right here, but nothing really on EU. US 30 here on the hourly, you can see where we are probably headed to, right? That 33,600 area. So we know that's the zone. We know we have a daily bearish low, and we also have a daily momentum. We have a daily buy momentum area. So also US 30, even though it doesn't give us this setup right here, there's a bunch of setups. There's this double sell SAR, but again, keep in mind, US 30, probably tomorrow my bias for US 30 will shift from bearish to bullish, because you can see we've already printed a daily buy SAR where price is likely, and this goes with my overall forecast. So, right, I normally I've told you guys that based off of how US 30 moves, towards the end of the year, it creates a new all-time high. and creates a new yearly high. So actually, and if you know me, if you've been trading with me, I actually prefer taking buys on US30 as opposed to sells. So here, if we are tapping into this zone, so keep in mind here we have 2 15-minute. So it's already 10:30. So if it's 10:30, let's go back and see what zones have been validated or invalidated either on the 15 minutes. So remember, we had validations on the 15-minute time frame, or validations on the 15-minute time frame, and validations on the 30-minute time frame. So I'll extend my SARs back to the maximum right here, which is 500. And then let's see. So let's start with the 30-minute time frame. 30-minute time frame. Okay, so this just validated. Give me 1 second. So this might be that last trade. So you can either decide to wait on the 1 minute entry or wait for so remember there are 15-minute entries right here. I'm trying to think this through. Give me 1 second. 1 second. So I'm still out of it. Just one moment right here. If that's the 30-minute. We have 15-minute validations down here. So this is a 30-minute zone. This is a 15-minute zone. Okay. So that's that would be the 30-minute trade. I'm not in the trade. There's something I'm watching right here. This is a 15-minute zone that also, if you look at this is a possible test and rejection for that zone on the 30-minute zone. So just hold real quick. Just hold. So it's no longer a possible test and rejection. I liked that 30-minute entry. The reason I came back, so remember we have these two 15-minute entries right here. So this validated on the 30-minute, that's valid. I liked that trade. I'm not in it. So just wait on that. There's a test and rejection buy that validated. We need to find the most optimal entry. That's the reason I came down. So if you guys remember, I normally tell you, if a setup has validated, and I mentioned that this morning, if a setup has validated across zones, wait for price to come to the most optimal zone. So this is a 15-minute double SAR, right? So we saw it. If you extend it here, this is that 15-minute zone. Okay. This is also a 15-minute zone. So this was validated, test and rejection. So test, rejection. So the entry on that 15-minute zone, if you're trading it, would have been validated by this 30-minute zone. Same entry. Same one right here, test and rejection right here. So what I'll do here, I'll wait for price to come to this lowest zone that was the first one, or that's the most optimal one. So that's a 15-minute. So this 30-minute entry was the same entry if you're trading this 15-minute test and rejection, because this was the test candle, that was the rejection candle. Also this test and rejection, this SAR zone right here would have validated the entry right there. So what I would like right now to do is mark up the person who, for example, is in this trade or took this trade. I need to know where this person would set break even. So where would they achieve a 1:1 risk to reward? So it's right there. So now what I want here, now is a perfect time to get that 1 minute entry, but we need price to first come down here. So keep in mind, you have three options right there. You can either be in this 30-minute entry, you can either be in this 15-minute entry, or if you're like me, wait for price to come back down to this bottom area right there. So because this will give you the best entry, best optimal entry. So here, what I will do, go back down to the 1 minute time frame. And then I want price. Remember, if you're waiting for a retracement, you need price to touch your zone on that 1 minute time frame. So price has already touched the zone on this one, So if you want, depending on, you don't have to take the same trade as I do. Again, I don't win every time, but personally, what I want to see gold getting, so I've already marked up where the person who's already in the trade would be at a 1:1 risk to reward. So I already know that threshold. So what I want gold to tap this zone first, because this is the zone, this is my most optimal zone. If for you want to trade based off of this, if you get that 1 minute live SAR entry, you can take it. For me, I will still hold off until gold tests 1980, 1980.7, 1980.5 area. So what I would want for me, before it creates that live 1 minute SAR, I would want gold to come here, reject from here, and go up. So that's what I would want. But if that 30-minute validation came in, you should be at break even or in profit. For me, I'm not in that trade. I liked that 30-minute trade. I would have taken it if the setups had not validated other setups from the bottom. If it was just the 30-minute entry by itself without validation on other lower timeframes at more optimal entry points, I would have taken that trade. But for me, I just prefer to wait for price to come to the most optimal zone. So I need gold to tap here first and then start going back up, and then I'll enter on that 1 minute SAR. But if gold gets to this zone here first before tapping me in, at that point I'll just delete this setup because I already know the person who is. So we already know there's a person in a trade. If and I'm not talking about somebody in here, but a hypothetical person there's a hypothetical person who's in that 30-minute trade. That's right there. And US30 again. So US30 has tapped into that buy momentum. So remember on the daily time frame, that buy momentum. So if we go back here, US30 on the daily. So days like this, I've literally blown accounts in the past. So I can tell like a lot of people are just getting caught, whether it's selling or whatnot. So you can see that buy momentum has just been tapped. So I wouldn't be surprised if now they pick up liquidity and pump US30 to the upside from here. Because remember, that's the last valid, actually not the last valid. Yeah, that's the last valid buy momentum because it wasn't the lowest candle of a retracement. The previous 1 to 3 candles, either of them had rejected off of an SAR and price. So this is where buyers pushed price up the last time before these sellers that are up here stepped in. So on gold right here, we know that there's somebody who took that 30-minute entry. But what I would want is for price to come back and tap me in before giving this person a 1:1 risk to reward. If this person is given a 1:1 risk to reward, guess what? I just forget about waiting for a retracement because this person would already be at break even, and I would be trying to chase a trade where if gold was to come back down, this person would be out at break even, and I'm chasing a trade that somebody else is already out. So that's why I normally draw the line. Like as much as I'm waiting for a retracement, I need to know where, if I had taken that trade, as much as it was valid, where would the trade be at break even? So that's that 1 minute SAR. For this 1 minute SAR, now this is where it gets tricky. So keep in mind, we have like what, 5 validations. We have a validation that happened before New York on the hourly time frame. We have a validation that happened before New York on the 15-minute time frame. Right now, we just had validations on the 30-minute time frame, 2 validations on the 15-minute time frame. The most optimal again is this one. This one optimizes, or this one validates for that hourly entry that we were waiting for. This one validates for that 15-minute entry, pre-NY entry, that if it does close above there. So it checks the boxes for, so how many are those? 1, 2. So we have 3 valid trade setups right now. The 2 that occurred before New York Open, and the 3 that this trade is based off of. No, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this trade is based off of. So out of 6 valid trade setups, only 1 has not been validated, and this is the one at the, I'm sorry, only 1 has not been, all 6 have been validated, but only 1 has not been tapped into, which is this 15-minute one. So if 2 1-minute candle closes, 2 1-minute candle closes above here, that will validate entries for 5 out of the 6 setups. So just do your math. For me, this is just too good to be true. But if you're already in this one, you should be in profit. if two candle close, and this is the 30-minute entry. So this is separate from the 1 minute entry. So if you're in this, you should be in profit. If two candles close above this 1 minute live SAR, that would be some of the 1 minutes we were waiting for. But now because I have another optimal entry down here, for me, I would rather wait for this. But if this validates and you have other confluences for a gold buy, feel free to take it. Personally, I'll just stay out of it for right now. So this was invalidated. So I go ahead and delete that setup. So I know we have two 15-minute zones right here. That, that. Oh yeah, US 30 is breaking everything. Yeah. All right. So that setup has validated. If if um if you have any confluences, that's the entry for the gold buy. But for me, I'm still waiting for this year. But if gold gets to this zone first before coming back down, I'm done, right? I will stay out. But that's the gold buy that would have been running right there. I'm not in it. If you had any that's the buy we were waiting for. The reason I didn't take it, I had an more optimum setup all the way at the bottom. But again, price does not have to come back down here. So I'm not saying that. And keep in mind, right, you have 5 out of 6 valid setups that are running right now. So for me, I'm just hanging on to that one one that didn't validate, but that would be the setup right there. So we'll see. But if price gets to this zone, I already know that this person would be at a 1:1 risk to reward, and then I'll just go ahead and delete my markup, and then that will be it for my trading day, unless I get another setup later on in the day. So remember, this is the point gold closed that gap on MT4, the gap that it opened up with yesterday. So I think that's another reason this trade got faked out, because there was that gap down, I'm sorry, gap up to the upside during market open yesterday, that gold was coming down to close and then picked up that liquidity. Hmm, 43 plus 23. This one just has too many SARs. All right, so this is, I mean, if you guys are already in the gold buy, I would rather the trade goes into full TP for you guys and not come back down. Because for me, again, I'm waiting all the way down here. But if you guys are in the buy, you have a higher probability for the trade hitting TP, because remember the trade, this trade that validated on the 30-minute time frame is valid, has the power of 5 out of 6 valid trades. So 5 out of 6 valid trades are pushing gold to the upside. So the probabilities for somebody who is in a gold buy right now is higher to go into profit than to come back down and even maybe hit stop loss, or like even give me an entry or my entry. So the probabilities, if you guys are in that trade, but I give my reasons why. For me, I would have wanted for gold to have at least tapped this zone at 1980. And also just make sure at whatever point, if anybody took any of the trades, if you took either the 30-minute setup or you took this 1-minute setup, when you get to a 1:1 risk to reward, that's a major factor right there. When you get to a 1:1 risk to reward, just set break even. Now this US 30, there's just a bunch of zones up here, which is actually, I think there's only one 15-minute zone right here. What area did this candle close? So that wouldn't be any 15-minute setup. It wouldn't be any 30-minute setup. I'll just send that loss that I took. So I lost 0.75, lost $1,500 on that other trade we had taken in the beginning. I don't know if any of you caught any of that gold buy, and if you didn't, I'd be curious to know why. And saying that you didn't take it because I didn't take it shouldn't be a reason. But if none of you are in this trade, I hope gold comes back down. But if even just one of you are in the trade, I hope gold goes into TP. But if none of you took the trade, I would want gold to melt back down and give this entry. But I already told you the probabilities are in the favor of whoever is in any of these trades, because it has the power of 5 valid trades. But anyway, that's the loss I took in that gold buy. So just one loss. Yesterday I started the day with a loss, made it back with a bigger win. So I'm just gonna be patient. US 30, this I'll be taking when it does validate, but we are running out of sell zones for US 30, even on the hourly time frame and 4-hour time frames. Actually, we have some more, but we have what, 6 more hours before this daily closure, and this daily candle might close above this SAR. So I might not even get a sell set up for US 30. I might have to wait for tomorrow and start catching those buys. Mm, 10:50. All right, I'll stay on for like 10 more minutes. But in 10 minutes, if gold has either achieved 1:1 for the person who would have taken this trade, either have done that or have, the only way I'll stay a little bit longer on the live session is if gold comes back down before giving this person a 1:1 risk to reward. But right now, if this person is given a 1:1, which they would be break even for this trade, that will be it for the live session. But if you go on even back to the 15-minute timeframes, I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of setups that are, oh wait, shoot. There was an hourly. Yes, here we go. There's this hourly setup right here. There's this hourly setup. We have 8 minutes. Give me one. So there's an hourly setup, and there's also this. All right. Anyway, I wanted to see what other setups are being made on the 15-minute and 30-minute timeframes. So 15-minute. So remember, we have other zones up here. So this again, what do you guys see here? This is a break continuation entry. So we also even have a possible break and continue. So at 11 p.m., 11 a.m., in 8 minutes, we have two possible setups. This is a possible break and continuation entry. At this point, give me 1 second. I'll delete all of this since we've already seen what these zones are. And I didn't take any of those trades. So here, this is the 15-minute time frame. This is a possible test and rejection being made, another test and rejection. On the 30-minute time frame, we have another test and rejection setup. There's a bunch of setups that are just lining up. Here on the 15-minute time frame, if you guys can see this, you have a break and continuation buy, possible break and continuation buy, which means this would be the setup right there. If this 15-minute candle closes, again, you don't want it to close too far. So that's a possible setup on gold, a possible buy setup on gold. I'm still keeping an eye out on this previous trade. I know if this trade gets here, this person would be at a break even. But if you remember, I do have that trade, my optimal trade setup down here. But if price gets here first, I'll go ahead and delete this. So we just have a bunch, and we also have that hourly setup that's coming in. So if we get that hourly setup, I will take the hourly setup because I like high time frame setups. So this setup, why do I keep opening that? This setup right here in 5 minutes. So that will be that official trade. That will be like 0.375%. And this would be a possible test and rejection on the hourly time frame. However, I would want it in the next 5 minutes to close next to that area. Man. Mm-hmm. So this is what I really, or this is what I would take right here. What's up, Desire? I haven't seen you in a minute.
What's up, bro?
How's it
Yeah,
going?
I've been working on some back testing and some other business. Yeah, so I wasn't all time available, but I've been following everything on the Discord.
Yeah, I feel you. Sometimes somebody just has to step back and do things in the back a little.
Yeah. Needed to work on some deep mindset thing on on trading.
Yeah, good. I feel you. I've been even for me the last few, like last week, man. I don't, sometimes when you, and which is why I normally advise you guys to be careful about the kinds of people you follow on social media. I don't know what happened to my YouTube algorithm or even Instagram algorithm. I was just getting content from like those people who just try and sell shit or whatever, and it was just like, bro, I was like, this is not. I mean, there are people who are into that, but I'm like, I just wanna keep learning more. I don't care about, somebody saying, oh, I don't know, he's managing or he made 100 or 500,000, whatever. I'm like, yo, because when I go to a bunch of those people's sites, I just see these people are just selling and selling and selling. I'm like, shit, these people are just trying to rope you in. Yeah, but like
Yeah,
last week, all my social media algorithms had just freaking. I was like, even right now, I'm not really doing social media because it just gets draining at some point. So same as this hourly setup I'm waiting for. So same thing. If this hourly setup validates again, this is a bit too high for me. It would be like in the next 1 minute. If it validates where it is, I'll wait for a retracement to this zone, because remember, nowadays, if price is overextended, that is a red flag for me. So I always want to wait for retracement. So I want gold to close in this hourly in the next 50 seconds. I need gold to retrace a bit back down so that it's not too far away from this SAR zone. And the reason for that is you want to avoid being faked out and price coming back up. So that's the reason you want that optimal entry. As much as it might take hours, that's the reason you want that. So if this trade validates like somewhere around here, again, remember, if you do take the trade, if you took the earlier loss with me, use a 0.375% risk. If you choose not to, again, that's up to you, but that's just my recommended. So let's see. I need it. So if it closes there, that's fine, even better if it closes, but we just don't want it to close below that SAR line. 3, 2, 1, and I'm let's see. Wait.
Damn,
Nope.
it closed.
Yep, invalid.
Yeah, it closed on the SR.
Right. But do I feel bad? Nope. I still have this. I still have that one trade at the bottom here. So all is, so long as it doesn't give this person 1:1 first. Yeah, I don't think
I'm also waiting for that.
Yep.
I saw that on the 30 minutes. I didn't take it because I was waiting for an imbalance to be filled on the 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on the 30 minutes, and the imbalance is just near a double SR.
Yep. So keep in mind also, this moves from a possible break and continuation, but of course, as much as this trade is valid, you ask yourself, of course, if this trade has validated, it has also validated across. Is this the most optimal entry? Sure, this is a valid trade, but nope, I will not take it. The only reason I have this marked up, I need to know at what point do I stop waiting for retracement? Because if this person is given a 1:1, at that point, I have no business waiting for retracement. So the only reason I have this trade marked up is to see this. I mean, I can even delete this setup right there and just leave this blue line. So whichever you prefer, but always mark up where somebody who does not care about retracement or overextension would be given a 1:1. And if price gets to there first before coming to you, then that is your cue to just forget about retracement, because if price eventually does come back down, that person would be at break even and they would exit the trade at break even. But for you, you'd be trying to get into a trade that somebody else is already out at break even. But other than that, I don't see anything else. Based off of how gold is moving, I think it would still come back down here and give this entry. So other than that, I will, if I do see it, if it does validate, I will send it as an official trade with a 0.375% risk, and we'll just observe it from there. If you choose not to use that, personally, no, I'm not going to use 0.375. The only times I actually use is like NF. No, actually, personally, I always do 0.75% risk for all trades. Because but my limit, if I lose two 0.75% risk trades, my overall drawdown for the day will be like 1.5%. So, but for me, I know that if I lose two back-to-back trades, I'm not trading for the rest of that day. So that's just my own mentality. But I don't know where you guys are at in trading, because there are people who risk 0.2% per trade. There are people who risk 1% per trade. But I try to stay in that threshold that I never lose more than 1.5% in any given day. And if you guys also know Steven, I think he said he does the same thing. If he loses 1.5% for the day, he waits for the next day. So that's my idea. So, but for you guys, I don't want you guys to get to that 1.5% threshold, because I don't know where you're at with trading psychology or dealing with risks or FOMO or over leveraging. For me, I've been able to you can never reduce FOMO, but I've been able to avoid getting into trades based off of FOMO or FOGI. So I haven't FOMO'd into a trade for for 4 months now, just by following these rules. So personally, I will take it. I'll use a 0.75%, but if you're going to take it, if it does come back down, but if it gets here first, there's nothing more to wait for. But we do have a bunch of setups. So as much as US30 is pumping up, so remember, I'm not really concerned if it wants to keep pumping up, because I know there's all these other setups around here. And I think I want this to happen on the live session so that you guys don't have to keep waiting for me to send something. Let's see. I need this. At this point, I just want this price point to be reached 1985, so that I stop waiting for this trade. Anyway, that's it for the day, unless any of you guys have any questions. All right. If not, I will catch you guys tomorrow to end the trading week. If this setup actually comes in, I will send it out. If price gets here first, then that will be the end of that. So just know, just put in your notes, if price reaches 1985.5, there's no need of waiting for me to send something out. If price gets to there first before coming back down relative to where it is right now. All right, catch you guys tomorrow. See you.